Okay, we are back on the air. Good evening, this is Vespo27 here. We're going to be flying some Elite Dangerous tonight. And if you bear with me while I get my chat out where I can see it. We'll get started. So tonight, I'm going to be primarily flying my cutter out of the 89 Leonis system. The system does have some conflict zones in it, so we're going to try racking up a few combat bonds and hopefully not have to rebuy this massive, hideously expensive ship. Since the last time I streamed, I was working on my engineering on this ship. I got my dirty drives upgrades all finished, which is great. The ship handles a lot better. I can actually kind of turn fight a little with it, so I don't have to always rely on just shooting through fights and taking pot shots. I can actually stay in the fight a little bit now, which is awesome. I've been working. The next thing I've been working on is engineering for my multi-cannons. I had to take a step back and rethink. I had them, all three of them engineered with efficient weapon and various mods, and I kind of rethought that a little bit, as I don't really need to increase the efficiency or reduce the power draw on those things, so I switched it up. I went for a high capacity magazine so I can just hold the trigger down longer and spray more on all three. So far that seems to be doing good, and the mods I put back on them, well, the big gun and the huge hardpoint has corrosive, and the two smaller ones I've got thermal shock and incendiary. Thermal shock on one, incendiary on the other. So the incendiary does thermal damage, which helps with shields, and the thermal shock one causes the target to heat up, which is nice because it helps cripple them. That I've still got my 4 beam laser turrets on the top. Since I tweaked my power systems a little bit, they haven't been as much of a problem with power draw as they used to. So I think I'm going to keep them for now. They're I think I've got them engineered for efficient weapons, and I forget what other mods I put on them. But I think possibly flow control. It might be a good idea to switch them to thermal. I don't know. I'll have to see. I'm not really working on them right now, but so once I'm done with the multi-cannons, I think I'm gonna head over to the Dweller and see what I want to do with those beam laser turrets. I almost definitely want to keep efficient weapon on them because they need to stay efficient, and flow control is probably the right thing to have on them, just to keep them from sucking all the power out of my distributor. So with that said, let's not going to bother taking a look at the mission boards, because I think I'm going to go right out to the conflict zones and see about getting in some trouble. Now, I am carrying 2 fighters, Taipan with gimbal beams, and then GU-97 with plasma. So I've got a nice fix of a fighter with a little endurance and a fighter that's more firepower based. Of course, I can only fly one at a time, but it's nice to have options.
Attention, please observe safe clearance distances.
Alright, let's get a little distance here. So yeah, with full pips to engines, now I get just over 300 for regular speed, and whoops, I wanted a boost. That boost I get up to a respectable 400, high 480s. Not bad for a ship this size. I usually don't go full pips to engines. I tend to do balance most of the time, and then I'll mess around with it as I need while I'm fighting. Let's get into Super Cruise, and then I'll go find my conflict zones. Meanwhile, I'm gonna open this bottle of alcohol here. This is a homebrewed bottle of mead, which is a type of wine from honey. This is the first one I tried to make, so it's not perfect, but it didn't come out bad. It's about, there we go, that was a nice little pop. It's about 4 months old at this point. Came out tasting a little rough, but a little aging has made it better. The last time I tried a bottle of this stuff was at about 3 months, and it had mellowed out considerably. So I'm going to pour myself a nice glass of that. And get back to the game. It looks like it's got a little bit of carbonation still in it. Tastes okay. This stuff should be about 12 or 13% alcohol by this point. Taste has mellowed out a little bit. It's not going to win any awards when it's not really ready for prime time. It's a first attempt, so it's not really all that great. And I did do a few things wrong. Where is, I thought I saw some conflict zones in here. Alright. I thought this system was in Civil War. Last time I looked, it doesn't look like that's the case anymore. The conflict zones are shut down. Alright, so let's mystery mission. I'm gonna ignore that. There's it. Wolf 397. That's where our multi-cannon engineer is. I believe that one's still in Civil War. Let's see. That's a short jump away.
Frameshift drive charging.
We'll go over there and get in trouble.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright, let's see what we've got here. Alright, lots of USS's. There's Trophy Camp. Oh, these systems all calmed down. Looks like everybody calmed down since the last time. Yeah, when I checked these, when I shut down last night, both of these systems were in civil war or civil unrest, and I had conflict zones. I guess I'm gonna take a look at some USSs instead, and then I'll go to the map and find some place that's a little more hopping. And go get some combat bonds. I was mining before, so I think I transferred over a whole lot of limpets, so I'm not going to be shy about collecting stuff up. We'll just do 1 or 2 USSs, just as I always need materials. This one's almost going to expire, but I should get there in time. Oh, look, it's another commander in the area. Let's say hi. Oops. Only one Dean commander. I've got a lot of limpets. Let's see what we got here. Some nice materials. Heat dispersion plates, heat conductive wiring, some alloys, mechanical equipment.
Cargo
A
scope
little closer.
Programming limpet drone. Programming limpet drone.
Snatch these up real quick, then I'll go do one more USS just to keep me honest, and we'll go find a fight. No valid collection targets is good because that means I'm all stocked up on everything else here. Yeah, it sounds right. This should be the heat conduction wiring coming in. Yep. So all that other stuff I've got tons of. Alright.
Cargo scope retracted. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Let's pick another signal source. Too bad I can't turn flight assist off in Super Cruise. Be much easier to flip around. There we go. High grade emissions. Nothing to fight here. Alright, should be dropping out any second now. See, now this is showing civil unrest. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing conflict zones out there. Unless it has to be outright in civil war. improvised components. I don't think I have any of those. This should be interesting.
Programming limpet drone.
One limpet should do it. New material discovered. Yep, I've never had these before. Improvised components. Not sure what they're used for.
Collector limpet expired.
Really? Expired.
Programming limpet drone.
I must have crashed into something. Well, the big news with Elite is that fleet carriers are coming out in a few days. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I've never been particularly efficient at money making, but I make enough to keep me going. You know, I've been hovering close to 1 billion credits for a long time. But never really delving into the territory that where where I'm making the kind of money that I would need to really buy and do the upkeep for a fleet carrier. The upkeep kind of kills it for me.
3, 2, 1, engage.
I mean, it doesn't really seem to be a way to get credits if you put it in a place where there's lots of trade. The upkeep means you got to keep grinding away to keep one out there. It'll be fun to visit people's fleet carriers, but you know, to own and run one on my own, it sounds like too much of a job to me. So I don't think I'm gonna be doing that. The other thing is the Odyssey update coming out looks pretty interesting. The little teaser that leaked seems like they've got seems like they're going to be adding the ability to do atmospheric landings and to exit your ship and walk around on foot, which should be a very interesting addition. Planetary landings are expanding planetary landings has been something that the game's needed for quite a while. Alright, so let's go to our galaxy map. And I'm going to try and find a nearby system. Map. There goes state. Want to see war. Civil unrest, civil war. Keep incursion. Oops. That's bad. Where was I? Wow, really? All these systems were lit up. travel a little bit. This one's in. It's a state of war. And it's not too far away, so we're going to head over to this system, Bingui. And see what we can see. So we got a little traveling to do. But I'm going to try a little bit of combat bond action. I'm going to take it easy and try to stay cautious. Usually what happens when I try to mess around with combat zones is I bite off more than I can chew, I dive in, and I get everybody attacking me, and it doesn't go well. Of course, I've never taken this big old cutter into a combat zone. So even though I'm not fully engineered, especially shields. I should have really engineered my shields before I did this, but I think what I can do, see about doing a low intensity one. Do a low intensity combat zone just so I don't get too overwhelmed. Take it slow, get my feet wet. So I'm still getting used to flying this thing in combat. I've got a fighter to help me out, so that's always a good thing.
Frameshift drive charging.
And I found that just having that fighter buzzing around, taking pot shots, ends up helping a lot. Nothing else gets the enemy's attention, so it's not always focused on me. Okay, next jump should take us into the war zone. Bingui. Or Bingui. However you want to pronounce it.
Frameshift drive charging.
Here we are. Let's scan the system. I could just stop at the nav beacon, but I'm gonna scan it the old-fashioned way. Hello, there's a commander there. electrical scan. It's made of 100% metal. Alright. The planet's all metal. I should just go to the nav beacon because this does get a little tedious for these more populous systems. There it is. These are some single sources. Combat aftermath. That's always a good one. This one's got some geology going on. Ice, rock, and metal. Tiny little ball of ice out there. But the player of the first planet was named Harry Monkey. These are all degraded missions. Convoy dispersals. I should really not be looking at these. I should look for the actual planets. Transparent cryptographic innovations. Res site. Alright, we're getting close to done here. With a human settlement on it. I mean, that's a landing. That's a Landable base. Ringed Icy World. Another icy body with a human outpost on it. And what do we have here?
System scan complete.
Another icy body with a human outpost on it. Oh, and the conflict zone is there. Let me at least mark this while I'm here. Alright. So let's see. Kabichi Incorporated versus new CPT-23 501 Revolutionary Party. Yeah, we're going to start with this low intensity combat zone, or conflict zone. See if we're going to rack up some combat bonds. I think I'm going to side against the revolutionaries just because I'm in that kind of mood. I have no idea what either of these factions are. I don't think I've ever been to this one before. So this should be interesting. I'm just gonna throw myself in, fight, pick a side. It's open war. It's all good. Refill my glass while I'm super cruising. So this stuff would certainly taste better if I let it age longer, like as long as like a whole year. But I did make a little bit of a mistake with these. As I stirred up some of the sediment at the bottom a little too much when I bottled them. So there's a good amount of, there's a little layer of crud in the bottom because that actually didn't settle out until it had been in the bottle for a while. So as I pour it, stirs it up. And from the last bottle of this that I have about 5 bottles of these, so I'd already opened and tried one. And when I did, I noticed when I got to say the last glassful that I poured, where I really couldn't keep the sediment out, it had a little bit more of the nasty taste. The top part's okay, still has a little bit of that, little bit of bite that will hopefully mellow out, but it's interesting stuff. It doesn't really taste like you'd expect something made out of honey to taste because all the sugars have been taken out of it and turned into alcohol. So it's the underlying flavors of the honey with a lot of alcohol. The problem is when they're young and you know, you're still kind of learning how to make them correctly, the alcohol taste kind of dominates and makes it a little bit sour. But the more it ages, the more that goes away. So even 4 months in the bottle is still a little young yet. But if you've never tried mead, it's an interesting drink. It doesn't taste like wine at all, even though it's kind of a wine. It's not a beer or anything like that. It's kind of its own thing. Okay, coming in. We're gonna scope things out before I get in trouble. I'm gonna get a fighter in the air. Well, technically not in the air, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna get a fighter launched and ready to go to at least watch my back. Zone. I don't see any contacts yet. Before I get in trouble and start making this side, I'm going to get a fighter launched. Oh, what happened to my... you know what? Yeah, when I switched ships, I never reactivated my, my pilot, so I'm gonna have to do this without the benefit of my fighter. Well, next time we land, we'll have to fix that. Navy, yeah. Let's start with this guy because that's Asp Scout. That shouldn't be too difficult. Flight assist off, flip around. Boost and hit him again.
Flight assist on. Under attack. Warning. Impulse attack. Trajectory disruption.
Pips up before those lasers drain me. I got his shields back up. Took some damage. As long as I don't get piled on by too many other people, it should go okay. Still kind of on the edge of the furball. Where I want to be. I don't want to be too much in the middle of it. This guy. Can't see my indicators, but his hull's got to be getting low at this point. There we go. That's one combat bond.
Shooting, Commander.
Viper.
Target shields offline.
My two smaller multi-cannons seems like they're firing arc. To get them in firing arc, I kind of have to have my nose raised a little bit. He's almost dead. Turrets are probably going to finish him off before I can get a beat on him again. Maybe not.
Under attack.
He's still hanging in there. I'm going to have to beat feet soon. There we go. Drawing a little bit of attention here.
Another one down. Keep going, Commander.
Oh, an eagle. He's not going to last long.
Target shields offline. Frame shield charge
I
detected.
just got to keep an eye on my shields. He's done.
Target destroyed.
Nice work, Ace. I'm starting to think we can win this thing.
Another Viper. Low intensity is a good idea to get practice because I don't see a lot of big nasty ships out there. I think I saw a Federal dropship. This is the biggest thing I've seen so far. On the enemy side, I'm not getting ganged up on too much.
Target shields offline.
Reverse a little bit. He's got to be almost done. Someone's flying a Python. I hope he's on my side. Come on. This guy wants to stay alive. And there he goes, he's popping.
Target destroyed.
Alright, picking up some bonds here.
You've got them. Well done, Commander.
Let's get in the mix. Another Viper. Shields aren't going to hold out too much longer.
Target shields offline.
Go, now we're starting to chew them up. We can put up some chaff. This hull's holding up pretty well. Almost got his shields up, but I'm not the only one shooting at it, so. He's not letting me put too much time on target, which is good. And we keep my turrets confused.
Under attack.
These passes are really hurting them. I should go FA off on them. Let's try it.
Flight assist off. Flight assist on. Target shields online. Flight assist off.
This guy's not bad for an NPC.
Flight assist on. Flight assist off.
Oops,
Flight assist on.
that was an accident.
Target shields offline.
Delta 29er falling back. I'm visiting O2.
I just gotta make sure I pay attention to my shields.
Under attack.
So I'm gonna go back to balanced pips. Set up all on guns. Get my shields back up a little bit. This guy's hurting now. Power back to guns. This guy's doing a good job of staying alive for an NPC. But I think that's going to do him.
Target destroyed.
I got here gunship.
You got him. Well done, Commander.
Under attack.
I'm going to get out of the middle of the furball before I engage this guy. I'd like to get more shields.
Flight assist off. Flight assist on.
Yeah, my fighter could really help there, although I'd probably have lost my first fighter by now.
Target shields offline.
Alright, let's start chewing them up. It's a gunship, you can do a little bit of damage. The only reason I'm able to keep up fighting him like this without going FA off a lot is is that Dirty Drive mod. Definitely any combat ship, that's the first that I'd mod the engines before I mod my weapons. At least before I mod my weapons. Oh, he's trying. Oh, he rammed me. Alright. We're gonna finish him.
Target
Coming back up.
online. Target shields offline.
This guy. They try to ram me again. Blue.
Taking internal damage.
Oh, you little. Yeah, I got you. Alright. Gonna boost out of the way for a little bit.
They're retreating. Great work, Commander. You've really made a
Flight
difference.
assist off.
Gonna boost out and get my shields back up a little bit. Not bad without my fighter. I mean, I should be able to abuse especially these lighter ships, but let's get my nose flipped around.
Flight assist on.
Alright, everybody left. Let's see how many combat bonds I've got. Oh, this only shows bounties. It doesn't show bonds. Alright. Let me go turn these in, actually. We'll come back out and fight some more. What do we got here? We've got... Don't have any real stations, but we do have, looks like we've got a ground base here. We can land at Planetary Port.
Frameshield drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage. Shields online.
There we go. Shields are back up. Did a good amount of fighting before I lost my shields. And I think the only reason I lost them completely was because I let that gunship ram me. Alright, let's get on course to go in and patch up and reactivate my fighter pilot. So, not bad. I didn't have a flight tactic, just because with the and drag drive mods all at level 5, I can actually turn this beast. Lug it. I can keep it up. If you're gonna fly a cutter in combat, I would strongly suggest using turrets. So if you haven't figured out what my loadout is I've got the 4 hard points on top of the ship, the 2 large, the two medium hard points, beam laser turrets, and the 2 medium and the 1 huge hard point on the bottom of the ship. I've got gimbal cannons on. So those beam turrets are doing the work of stripping, for stripping shields, and as the big multi cannons, and I'm using a combination of 3 effects, which reduces hull integrity so that your hits cause more damage. I've got incendiary, which converts part of my damage to thermal to be more effective against shields, and the last multi-cannon has thermal shock, which increases the opponent's heat, which helps cripple them, reduce their ability to fight back. So I think that's with multi-cannons, it's nice to have a combination of effects. So I don't think they actually stack. Alright, come in, we're gonna have to make a land. This isn't a high gravity planet. We'll do repairs, combat bombs. And we'll go out and go do it again. Guess if I go to the high intensity ones, I'll see more anacondas. Excuse me. More things like anacondas, chieftains, maybe other
Flight engaged.
other cutters and corvettes. No, I don't have a corvette. This cutter is the biggest, most expensive ship I own. I do have an Anaconda, but I don't use it for combat. It's a long-range explorer. I've got a Clipper, which is basically kitted out as for like general purpose bounty hunting. and that sort of thing. But I haven't flown that Clipper in forever. I have the Imperial Courier, which is the small fighter that if you watch, I think I was messing around with it on stream, was it 2 weeks ago maybe? I've got kitted out as kind of a stealth fighter now. The ships I use a lot are actually back at Colonia right now. Well, my Anaconda Explorer is actually in the bubble. That's how I got back from Colonia. But out of Colonia, I've got a Vulture that I've been, well, I still have some engine to do.
Maya, Victor, Echo, Sierra, Federal Flight Control welcomes you. Submit a docking request before approaching the port.
Which is why I'm back in the bubble, actually, because I have an engineer out there that I still have to unlock. That I had to come back to unlock. So while I'm here back in the bubble, I'm gonna have some fun with my cutter. Because I'm not paying through the nose to
Rate of descent is nominal. Continue on current flight path. Landing authorized. Vectoring for approach to landing pad 07.
back. Yeah.
Descend to flight level 100.
Landing gear deployed.
Even with my engines fully up, as much as I have the lateral. Sorry about that. Microphone got disconnected. Yeah. Don't know if you heard me say that, but my headset got disconnected briefly there. So now we're back. Alright, just made my landing. Go in, turn in our bonds, and repair and restock. That's not a bad little bit of repair. Really, the only real damage I took was after that federal gunship bounced off my shields. Yeah, here's a weird bug that's popped up for some reason. When I go to restock, 2 of my multi-cannons are short 1 round of ammo, and it won't let me, even if I do it manually, it won't let me actually buy it, so my restock always stays at 10 credits. Over here. An annoyance. I'm 1 round short of a full clip on both of them. I bet you that's just a quirk of a rounding error of some sort in the math. Probably instigated from when I converted them to high capacity magazines. And I bet you once I bump up the engineering level on those a little bit, that's going to either go away or start behaving differently. Anyway, let's go into our contacts. No local combat bound vouchers. I guess combat bonds are kind of broken right now. Huh, so I got no money for that. Well, we're going to try it again. When I go out, I'm going to see, usually there's a dialogue that pops up that lets you choose a side. I'm wondering if it didn't like it because I did that. But I should have been accumulating combat bonds. It's been a long time since I did this, so... And I think how it works has changed. There used to be like a checkpoint out by the conflict zones. Let me lock that one again. I'll give this one more shot. Basically, as soon as you shoot at one, it's supposed to be the equivalent of declaring a side, so I should have been racking up combat bound vouchers. Oh, shoot. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to react. I have to go back and set my pilot as active. So yeah, I'm back. This is a quick trip. I think all I'm going to do with the fighter is I'll just launch it and leave it set to defend me, so I can keep people off my back.
Request approved. Clear to land on pad 07.
Yeah, lined up pretty well on this. Good thing I'm still mostly lined up on the pad.
Landing gear deployed.
It's like getting halfway on a cross-country trip and realizing that you left the stove on. Yes, that's a Deadpool reference. Nice, pretty landing.
Landing complete. Ship secured.
See, it'll let me refuel for that small amount, but it won't let me excuse me, won't let me restock. Alright. Let's go to my crew lounge. Yep. I just gotta set her as active. I'm not gonna set her, I'm not gonna dismiss her. She's racking up experience. Let's see who's in here. So they've all got flavor text, interesting tiny little stories. Alright. Let's try this again. Let me see if I've got anything to turn. I've got a couple of minor things to turn in here.
Incoming message.
So I want to settle all my financial stuff. Alright, now let's go out. I should still have that conflict zone selected. And let's go. Even if I don't get the combat vouchers, I'll still at least get into a good fight.
Ship released. Expedite climb to
Landing
exit
gear
altitude.
retracted. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Okay, grab onto the conflict zone. Gotta accelerate a little, get some distance from the planet as I'm still in orbit. And then I should be able to beeline for the conflict zone. There she is. Okay, let's lock it in, turn on Super Cruise Assist. Sit back and let the magic happen. Well, check our messages. Oh good, that base belonged to the faction that I was fighting for anyway. So I chose a smart smart faction to be part of. See if I can get this thing to the point where I can actually earn combat bonds. I thought I'd heard something that mechanic was kind of broken. It kind of seems like it is. So if I go in and target somebody, it's supposed to automatically assign me a side based on who I target and shoot at. And any kills I get in the conflict zone should go towards combat bonds. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it may not work exactly the same way as it did last time I did this, which was, well, a long time ago. I think the last time I really played around with conflict zones was when I, well, unlocking that engineer. Todd the Blaster McGuinn engineer that's, well, not too far from here. I think he needed 200 combat a certain number of, I forget what it was, a certain number of combat vouchers. Again. Yeah, at one point there was a separate signal source you could target near the conflict zones that was actually like a check-in point, a checkpoint of some sort, where you went there and you declared your side there. And then you moved on to the conflict zone itself. Here we go. Gonna select fight for this faction.
Welcome aboard, Commander.
Target shields offline.
This Cobra is not going to last too long against me. So I think I've got his hull down to about a third. Make another pass and that should do it. His hull's only down to half. I gotta see if I can disable the headlamp a little bit, because it's kind of annoying when I can't see the bottom of the displays.
Impulse attack. Trajectory disruption.
Shields are still doing good, so stay in it. Finish this guy. I got his shields back up. He's barely alive. There we go. That's more like it. Almost done. There you go.
Target destroyed.
Now I'm getting combat bombs. Okay, so I do have to actually select a faction.
Going, Commander.
That's a Corvette. That's This is going to be a tough opponent.
Under attack.
Don't want to toe-to-toe with this guy.
Temperature critical. Flight assist off.
Fighter of the air.
Will call. Bay is prepped. Systems online.
Okay, you're gonna take orders.
Heli presence online.
Attack my
Awaiting your
target.
orders.
Flight assist on.
Kind of drifted out of the combat zone there. It's okay, we'll go back in and
Multiple targets in this area, Commander.
re-engage.
Could be dangerous.
Corvette was a hard target. Corvette was certainly a hard target. There he is.
Flight assist off.
Box 3, breaking formation.
Let's make another pass at him. Still flight assist off.
Flight assist on.
There he is.
Flight assist off.
Target his power plant. I got his shields down. Still drifting around, flight assist off.
Temperature critical. Under attack.
Haha. This power plant's taking some hits. Still flight assist off. Usually don't leave it off this long, but it's working. Lots of forward thrust on this pass. This is basically the boost turn trick. Hurting his power plant a lot. Tearing the heart out of his ship. Oh, he's in deep trouble now. Got his shields back up and the power plant is screwed. Now it's just, oh, he's got some. Is he using rail guns? Boost past him.
They're trying to escape, Commander.
Not with 11%. Not with 11% on his power plant. He's not. Dead in the water. There we go, got him. All right.
Another one down. Keep going, Commander.
Flight assist on.
Boost back towards the conflict zone and pick up another target.
Flight assist off.
Starting to get used to flying with flight assist off. You almost have to with oh wait, you know what? I'm gonna
Flight assist on.
slow down here. My shields are kind of beat. What do we have on our contacts? It was an NPC Corvette, but that was still a Corvette kill. I don't think I have a shield cell bank. This thing. No, I don't. So I'm probably the biggest ship on our side, and that Corvette was probably the, well I could almost definitely say it was the biggest opposing force ship. Vulture.
Multiple targets in this area, Commander. Could be dangerous.
Gonna try and not get into too much trouble.
Flight assist off.
lot of targets here. Gotta worry about getting too engaged. Don't want to overcommit. It'd be kind of embarrassing to lose a ship this big.
Hotel to Charlie joining attack formation. Watch your back.
Target shields offline.
Cover me.
Under attack.
Nice work, Commander. Keep it up.
Alright, let me... This guy's got some skills, so let's go for his plan. Yep, he's hurting now.
Flight assist.
I think somebody else killed him.
Well done, Commander.
Where did I get him? Let's pick this guy who's out on the edge. Eagle. He's not gonna like this.
Target shields offline.
Victory is close. I can feel it. Keep up the pressure.
Eagle cannot take that kind of pounding from anyone. I wonder if my fighter's still up. Yep, there it is. That's my fighter that just went zipping by. So,
Good shooting, Commander.
Flight assist off. Flight assist on.
Python.
Target shields offline.
Sounds like he's using cannons, maybe?
Under attack.
I have to back off and recharge shields after this guy.
They're retreating. Great work, Commander. You've really made a difference.
Hotel to Charlie joining attack formation. Watch your back.
Frameshield charge detected.
They're trying to escape, Commander.
One Alpha
Warning.
0 dead.
Temperature critical.
Come on. Ah, he got away.
Enemy wiped out. Awaiting further orders.
Alright. Still maintain my shields. Orders. Recall.
Fighter retrieval initiated, Commander.
So this time I did actually get the combat bombs. 126,000 in combat bonds. Bring that fighter in.
Bay doors closed. Hangar is secure, Commander.
Well, that was fun. I got to tangle with a big old Corvette. Where is that station that I was stopping at? There it is. Locked, hit super grooves.
Ready to engage. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Corvette was interesting. Well, I got my shields dinged up. I don't think I took any damage. Let's take a look at my modules. There we go. Yeah, I'm still good. Yeah, I got out of that without a scratch. Well, I kept disengaging and re-engaging the Corvette, so I was worried that he'd be able to do some serious damage to me. And I should have got the kill on that Python. He punked out. Well, maybe when his shields got down, maybe I should have went for his frameshift drive. Oh, my headlights are on. Let's see. Where are the headlights on this ship? That's where the headlights are. Right in the front. There I am. Nice spacious bridge, and I'm the only one on it. Well, if the Odyssey update delivers what we think it will, based on the base of the leaked trailer, they may have fixed multi-crewing. Might be able to run with a guest in my cutter. It's pretty nice with all those turrets and with all those. He's talking on Squadron Channel today. And the nice thing is my fighter survived that entire encounter. Wouldn't be surprised if it took damage, but it survived. Usually get them killed in long drawn out battles. Then I launch another. Excuse me. Yeah, about halfway through the second glass, this homebrew bead gets a lot better. Like I said, it's hard to imagine what honey tastes like without the sweetness. But if you can't imagine it, that's kind of what this drink tastes like. And it's not exactly what you'd expect. You make it like wine, but it's not a wine. It's a very different taste than wine. There's always a little funkiness in it. It's different. brings out your inner Viking. But one of my neighbors is very much into making wine, and that's kind of, I think that's kind of why I ended up starting to trying my hand at home brewing. He does traditional wine from grapes. He makes a good red table wine. He makes it pretty strong too. So through him, I've met another guy actually runs a local winery where he hosts make your own wine parties. Like basically you pay for the supplies and then he helps you make it on his equipment. And you come back and you do like a big tasting party or something. I've never actually gone to the place, but it sounds interesting. So hanging around these guys that know how to make wine, I figured I might as well try and make something. So I settled on trying to make my own mead, just because it sounded like something different. And it's easier to go to the store and buy a big thing of honey than it is to go out and find good grapes and then crush them and do all that other stuff. This is something that's a little bit easier to make, and significantly easier to make in your basement. Yeah, so really my laundry room is my homebrew room. I've got
Victor, Echo, Sierra, Federal Flight Control welcomes you. Submit a docking request before approaching the port.
I've got two nice big 1-gallon jugs of different stuff brewing right now. One's a mead flavored with raspberry, and the other one's it's a mead made with real maple syrup. So that one should be interesting. That one I'm making, it's gonna most of the ones that I've made so far are all very dry. That means there's no sugar left at the end after it's fermented. The maple syrup still has should still be fairly sweet when it comes out. So we'll see how that works.
Landing permission granted. You are clear for approach to pad 07.
And at some point you'll probably see me get soused on this stuff while streaming. Try not to bump into the building this time. Oh man.
1,000 meters from touchdown.
I'm still not used to these lateral thrusters. I tend to overdrift with them. In case you haven't noticed. So I basically made the same error that I did last time. We have touchdown.
Landing complete. Thrusters offline. Deploying ground services.
It's called tall installation, but it's not very tall. It's a fairly short building. Alright, so now that I've figured out how, you see that my restock gets stuck at 10 credits, and it's the same 2 rounds of multi-cannon ammo that it doesn't want to finish. Well, let me finish my hull integrity repair. Because it's my cutter, I have to always keep the paint job at 100%. There we go. I've got my combat bonds. I think I actually got more on my first run. Let me take a look. Yeah, so my combat rank is finally going up. I don't know, it seemed almost easy to get Elite and Explorer and Trade. Trade I didn't even really try. I got that mostly from mining. And, well, my Explorer rank, I think I've gone on some very long exploration missions. Like, gone out for months at a time. I haven't been out to Beagle Point yet, though. I did like a lap around the galactic core, visited a lot of the major nebulas around the bubble in the southern half of the galaxy. Did a nice long swing out to the through the center of the galaxy a couple of times, out to the eastern side of the galaxy, at least about halfway out, and kind of circled around, and then worked my way back to Colonia. So I put a lot of light years in to get the Explorer Elite. Trade Elite just came from mining for Void Opal money to buy this cutter, and back when Void Opals were the biggest thing. And more mining to get materials, and that seemed to go really quick, actually, surprisingly quick. Combat has been dragging, but then again, when I go on those Explorer missions, I'm not fighting for long periods of time. So now I'm trying to brush up a bit and get that up. So well, you can see now 74%. Through expert, so that's more significant progress than I made in months. Alright, let's go back. I think I'm all set. I'm going to go out again. Let me try a medium intensity conflict zone this time. Let's lock that in. And hit it. And I will start my third glass of homebrew in a second. Let me get clear of the station.
Climb to exit altitude.
Clear of the station and pour myself another glass. About not quite halfway through this bottle. Try and pour carefully so I don't disturb that little bit of sludge at the bottom. The sludge is,
FFC out.
well, sludge is kind of a strong word for it. What's at the bottom of this bottle is actually just a bunch of dead yeast. What happened is I think I mentioned before, when I bottled this stuff, I disturbed the mess at the bottom a little bit too much and captured some of it. And I really should have waited longer for the rest of the dead yeast to start falling out of the solution, and for it to clear up more on its own. So when I bottled it, it was still kind of cloudy. That stuff all settled to the bottom eventually, which is the thin layer of sludge that I'm talking about.
Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2.
And it's not harmful, but if you get a big mouthful of it, that seems to tend to be where the off flavors are. So I kind of messed that up. I did a much better job on the other batches that I've done. I've got a a regular wine that's made out of mint that bottled perfectly clear. That looked like it did really well. The sample I tasted, it tasted really good as I was bottling it, letting it sit in bottles for a little bit before I mess with it more. So it should be pretty good by the time I get around to drinking it. And then I did another batch of mead. I bought the best honey I could find in my local supermarkets, and just tried a very simple, basic mead with it. And that one came out really, really good out of the bottle with the sample that I tested. So that's been bottled only a couple of weeks. So when that hits about the 3 to 5 month mark, that's going to taste really good. It was only a little bit, it was a little bit hot alcohol taste, and not nearly as much as the first batch I tried. I tried to make the one I'm drinking now, and I can still feel a little bit of that now. The other one I bottled started out as good as this one was after 3 months, so I definitely did a better job with that. And I only got 4 bottles out of that batch, but most of them are nice and clear. There's always going to be a tiny bit of sediment because we're not doing this professionally. One bottle got a little bit of sludge from the bottom sucked up into it, but not too bad. So I think that's going to be it. That's the first one I think that I'm going to be able to share with friends. This one, it's fine. It still needs to age a little more, but it's got some sludge in it. But I've got other bottles of this, so. But with the leftover sludge in it, I probably can't let it sit too long, so it's never going to get to the point where it's going to be great. Anyway, enough of me talking about homebrew. We got about a minute to go before we drop into the combat zone. So we're going to up the ante and go medium intensity. I'm going to stay with the same faction, and I might want to turn off my headlights. So that's just going to make me a target. The other thing I messed up on, I kind of used the wrong kind of corks on some of the bottles for this first batch. I like the bottles, but I didn't really have the right corks for it. So it's fine for now, but if I try to keep it in these bottles for like say a whole year, it probably wouldn't go too well. Because I really didn't use good corks on it. I actually did go out and I'm geeking out on, sorry guys, I'm geeking out on homebrew stuff tonight. I did actually find the right size corks that'll fit this kind of bottle, so I will be using them in the future. That's another reason I'm drinking this bottle, is so that I can empty the bottles that I like. I like the bottles, even though it's a certain style of, I think it's a Scandinavian style liquor bottle that I actually like. So if I can at least cork them correctly, then I can keep long term in them. If you can't tell, I've been spending too much time thinking about this stuff lately. Alright, so before we even get into it, I'm going to get the fighter in the air. I'm going to use the plasma fighter again. That seemed to work out well.
Okay, Commander. Initiating SLF deployment. Fighter is online. I'm ready when you are.
Alright. Start approaching this combat zone. Sun's out, guns out. Oops. Come on. There we go. I'm going to stick with Camchi Incorporated.
We've got multiple hostiles here. Let's take them out one at a time.
Good to have you on the scene, Commander.
Under attack.
Order. You're going to go to attack my target.
Copy that, Commander. Engaging enemy now.
So, Cobra. Not for long.
Shield gone, Commander. I need help immediately.
Oh, my fighter got a little beat up.
Under attack.
Yeah, it's a little bit more intense. More of a tight-knit battle here.
Online. Target shields offline.
Okay, that pass ripped up a good 10-15% of his ship.
My hull is at 50%. Taking enemy fire, Commander. What are your orders? The fighter just brought the big one, Commander.
Alright, we'll launch another one.
Commander initiated.
Okay, Commander. Initiating SLF deployment. Multiple targets in this area, Commander. Could be dangerous.
I want this one.
Heli presence online. Awaiting your orders.
Warning. Shield breach attack. Taking damage.
Oh, it's an FDL.
Trajectory
Great, I picked a tough target. He's got tough shields.
under attack. Fighter assembly complete.
Come on. There go his shields.
I'm
So,
hit. I'm
tiny
hit.
bit of shields. There we go.
Shield's gone, Commander. This does not look good.
Wow, they're really tearing up my fighters. I think I've got multiples of them.
Taking damage. Hull integrity down to 50%.
Alright, I can't really do much of that about that one.
Not
Tangled
gonna
with
last
an
much longer,
FDL.
Commander. Hull is almost breached. Fighter is down, Commander.
Oh, he's got. Uh-oh.
Under attack.
He's in much worse shape than I am. Should maybe be going after his power plant instead of his drives.
Warning, hull breach attack. Taking internal damage. Canopy integrity at 50%. Compromised.
Target destroyed.
Fighter assembly complete.
Nice work, Commander.
Flight
Keep it up.
assist off. Under attack.
He's got plasmas. That's why he's.
Compromised. Module repaired. Hull integrity critical.
Oh, he's hurting me bad.
Flight assist on.
I better get a fighter out.
Copy. Deploying the fighter now. Fighter is online. I'm ready when you are.
Got FPL. He thought it.
Under attack. Flight assist off.
I shouldn't be pushing it like this.
Target shields offline.
I'm taking damage, Commander. Performing evasive maneuvers.
I shouldn't be screwing around like this while I have no shields.
My hull is at 50%. The ship's taking a beating. Not sure how much more of this I'll be able to handle. I can't find any trace of the fighter. Take
Fighter
it down, sir.
assembly initiated. Module malfunction. Under attack.
Ah, come on. He's got a railgun, that's why. Oh, this is not good. Not good, I need shields. Taking too much hull damage. Got at least some combat bonds.
Shields online.
Oh, thank God. Got shields back.
Under attack. Fighter assembly complete.
like I'm the only one left.
Flight assist on.
Don't really have enough shields for this to take on 3 of these guys. Assault ship, assault ship, assault ship.
Under attack.
Copy. Deploying the fighter now.
Try 1 or 2 more passes at it.
Fighter is clear of the mothership.
Flight assist off.
Mayday, Commander. Taking fire. Hull integrity at 50%, Commander.
Under attack.
The ship's taking a beating. Not sure how much more of this I'll be able to handle. The fighter just brought the big one, Commander.
Fighter assembly initiated. Taking damage. Shields offline. Flight assist on. Cannot comply. Frameshift drive
We're
charging.
gonna get out of here.
4, 3, 2, 1.
I dinged him up pretty good. I dinged him up a little more on those passes, but I'm losing all my shields. Just too many of them. Alright, well, we'll limp back home and repair up and try again. What's that? Yeah, maybe I'll go back to the low intensity ones. Well, it seems like there's a higher concentration of bigger ships there. Let's repair one more time and then we'll before we call it a night. The other thing to think about is the PS5 is coming out later this year. From what I understand, it will play PS4 games. So the only advantage that I'll get out of that for Elite, at least, is I'll be able to play Elite 4K finally, because I've got the PS4 Slim, so I can't do 4K because I didn't bother to buy the Pro. Well, at the time when I first got it, I didn't have a 4K TV yet. And now that I've got a nice big 4K TV, I should really take advantage of that. Right now my hardware doesn't, but if the PS5 really is backwards compatible with PS4 games, then I'll be able to play in full 4K, which will be very nice. Honestly, this game does deserve it. Taking a lot, you know, you can even see from the Starfield background right now where the resolution difference is going to make a big difference. You see how it's very the gas clouds are a little pixelated. That'll be nice and smoothed out in true 4K rendering. have other PS4 games that I want to look at in 4K. I know Horizon Zero Dawn, the landscapes in that game are supposed to look incredible in 4K. They look pretty good in the non-4K version as it is. But that's going to be an expensive system, so I have to save up my money. And hope that all the current stuff going on with well, let's call it the My Sharona Cyrus, and all the civil unrest in the Sol system hopefully doesn't damage the economy so much that it causes me problems. The business I'm in is still doing okay despite all this stuff, so I mostly work from home anyway, so it hasn't been a huge impact, and well, the kind of services we provide are still very much in demand, especially when something like a pandemic is going on. Okay, I did a little drift. Slid past the settlement. Not quite a leap of shame. Turn off. Yeah, Super Cruise Assist for planetary approach needs a little improvement, I think. It's going into orbit is, well, okay, I guess, but it's not really helpful. I'd rather have a few options. I'd want to be able to stop kind of at standoff range so that I could use surface scanner probes, or if I've got a ground target like an installation or a geological or biological site targeted, I'd like it to be able to at least bring me into orbital flight pointed at it before it releases. Rather than orbit. I don't think that's really too much to ask for. Or orbit is annoying because then you have to go and turn it off in order to make your landing. So I think I only picked up one combat bond, and then I started tangling with yeah, I only picked up one combat bond. That's probably not going to even pay for my repairs, because I got beat this time. I should probably stick to the low intensity sites unless I'm going out with a wing. There's enough activity there that just makes me feel much more like the big target that I am. The low intensity sites, it's spread out enough that I can pick and choose and abuse one target at a time a little bit better. Biggest difference was that the medium intensity conflict zone, my fighter did not last long at all. The low intensity zone, I put my fighter out there, I forgot about it, and it was still there at the end of the fight. I think I burned like 3 fighters in this one. far from the station this time. It's called Tall Installation, but has no tall buildings. Docking request range. Go.
Unable to comply.
Ah.
Unable to grant request.
Somebody's sitting on a large pad. Great. This place really only has one large pad.
Request denied. Landing permission denied.
I'm gonna get lined up on it. Oh, somebody's landing at Type 7. There's two large pads there. Why can't I land on the other one?
Request approved. Vectoring for approach to landing pad 08.
At least that Type 7 didn't sit on the pad
Landing gear
forever,
deployed.
like I've seen some players do.
Descend to flight level 200.
There we go.
Landing successful. Ship is locked down.
Alright, so I got a little beat up this last time. Yeah, that's a lot of repairs. I'll have to get my hull down to like almost 10%. Okay. Must always fix my paint job. It's important to look good. It's better to look good than to feel good. And then my only combat bond contract was 22,000, so this was a big loss in this battle. Alright. Alright, let me so, it's late. I think I'm going to call it a night here. So we had some fun, got some combat bonds, gotten some nasty fights. One that I couldn't win, so I bugged out. And two that I did win, even though one of them I didn't get combat bond credit for. But I figured out how the combat bond system works again. You do have to select your faction or you don't get them. Otherwise it's just a fight. Got some work in on the cutter, got to get a little bit more comfortable with flying with flight assist off, even though it's it kind of seems like I'm in panic. Oh, I gotta point my nose over there, kind of thing. But with anything, practice makes perfect. It's not that bad. It feels clumsy, but it's getting the job done. It's keeping my nose pointed at my target while I'm moving away from the target, which is kind of cool. Kind of like how, if you've ever seen the old Babylon 5 series, the fighters in Babylon 5 flew like, they had flight assist off. They could pick a direction, boost in that direction, and then basically go flight assist off and turn around like a turret and fire at something behind them as they kept drifting away from it, which is very cool. One of the few shows that depicts semi-realistic space flights. Anyway, I'm going to call it now. My cutter took a beating, but came out okay. Had some fun. My credit balance is slightly higher than it was before, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, I haven't done combat zones in a long time, so this was a lot of fun. I'm going to continue with my engineering during the week. Again, I'm focusing on my multi-cannons right now. After that's done, I'll focus on my beam lasers, and then probably on my shields after that. Maybe that's not the right order to do things, but that's the way I'm going for it. So thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm not going to make empty promises. I always try and promise that I'm going to do a Saturday stream, and I do it maybe 1 out of 5 times. So I'm not going to promise that I'm going to do a Saturday stream, but I will say that I might do it. Anyway, have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Have fun. Keep flying.